Okay, we're live.
All right. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining the open talk session. So in this session, we'll sort of cover a lot of things about the election, and if you would like to know more, you can either take a picture of the QR codes first, or if there's any questions also, there's sort of a Q&A session at the end of today. Okay, so before that, I'll just take you through a rough outline of what to expect. So for this open talk session, if you're completely new to MUSA, we'll cover a bit on what MUSA is. And after that, we'll talk about the elections. So that includes purpose, timeline, processes. And then after that, I'll let Sean take you through some of the positions that are open. And then towards the end, we'll cover on the nomination forms, as well as some of the documents that you will need. And also to close, there'll be Q&A, but also if you have any additional questions, we'll share with you some of the communications platforms that you can use during this elections process. Okay, so with that, I'd like to touch briefly about MUSA. So just a quick introduction to MUSA. MUSA is actually your student association that is actually owned and run by you Monash students. And so the benefit is to all the Monash University Malaysia students. So it's governed by the Monash Student Council, MSC, and actually MUSA serves to recognize means of communication between students and academic, as well as the administrative authorities of the university. So in terms of what it aims to promote things like your interests and also student welfare. So just to really talk about what MUSA does, but also to clearly understand what MUSA doesn't do, you can see here that MUSA provides subsidies or reimbursement for students who are representing Monash University Malaysia at competitions or conferences. And MUSA also supports students who are called in APC hearings, where students face the risk of getting expelled by Monash due to failing more than 50% of their credit points. And in case of student-related harassment, complaints, and safety issues, students are encouraged to approach MUSA with proper evidence for actions to be taken. So these are some of the things, but I think I'll leave more of the details later for Sean to share with you all. And in terms of what MUSA doesn't really do, doesn't fall under the purview of MUSA, it's has no authority to dismiss any lecturers, tutors that you are unhappy about. But as you can see here also that it's covered under the student evaluation of teaching units. So every semester you'll be able to share what you think about those lecturers or tutors anonymously. And then also MUSA does not work under the facilities and maintenance department. So, but then you can also still inform MUSA about broken facilities, but they would not be the one responsible for fixing or replacing it. So yeah, so those a bit of an overview on MUSA. And if you want to know more about MUSA, actually, here we have the website and official Instagram pages. So I think I'll just leave this here for a brief 5 seconds so you can take a picture of it first. All right. Okay, so to carry on, I'm just going to touch on briefly about the purpose of the elections, just to quickly cover key aspects of this upcoming MUSA elections. So right from the start, the purpose of election is actually to conduct and ensure a fair, transparent, and also efficient process that allows you, the students, to actively participate in shaping the student government. So in terms of this year's election commission, just to introduce myself, hi, I'm Justin. I'll be the returning officer. And joining us also today in the live stream is Bliss, the General Secretary for MUSA 2024-2025. So you can contact us either by the email or you can also WhatsApp me. My number is here. So you can take that down and also I'll be sharing that later on again. So if there are any inquiries that you have relating to the elections or any questions you want to ask, if you want a more informal conversation, you can always WhatsApp me. But if you have any formal inquiries, we would prefer that you send it through the Gmail here. So that way, at least we'll be able to keep track of it and also it's properly documented. All right. So to understand more about this year's election, just to take you through timeline and electoral processes, I just wanted to show you the timeline for this year. So this is not all the details, but this is a very brief summary for you to understand and expect. especially if you're planning to run for the elections, to understand timeline and sort of the what you would be doing at different stages of these elections. So between August and September, we'll be having the nomination period. So as of tomorrow, the nominations will open and the ticket registration will actually be on the 1st of September. But do note that you have to be your nomination has to be valid before you can register together as a party. So do take note of that. And especially if you're planning to run this year, it's quite important to save the date for the 13th of September because there's going to be a MUSA training and candidate briefing. So this is actually a mandatory physical session for all candidates that who are planning to run. And that's sort of where we'll go through sort of the what each role has to do and also to brief you on upcoming processes within this election. And then in the middle of September, that will be your campaigning period. So that one we will cover more later on once you have entered as a official candidate. And then for later on in October, that's when the debate will take place. And the week after the debate, you will actually have your voting period. And the ceremony for if you do get through all the way, the result ceremony will be on the 20th of October. So I think this is quite an important document. So feel free to take a picture of this first, or later on I'll be sharing the drive where all of this will be located inside, and you can refer back to it. Okay. All right. So I think now I'll pass it on to Sean because and he will be able to take you through some of the positions in this upcoming MUSA election. So yeah, Sean, pass it on to you.
All right, hi everyone. Just checking, Justin, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, can hear you.
Great. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Sean. I'm the 2025 MUSA president. If you haven't heard about me or don't know about me, it's fine. I'm gonna go away soon. But one thing I would like you all to be aware is the positions being contested. So again, although this is basic for those who already know what they want to do, for those who are still figuring things out and you want to know like, oh, what's there in MUSA? Well, today I'm just gonna go through all of them with you here today, lah. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the rough tree of how MUSA works generally. So you have the MUSA president who oversees all, and of course their main job is license. So we'll get into the key job details later. So from there you have the four exco, which is consisting of the MUSA president, the vice president, the general secretary, and head of finance. Now these four are the key integral part to making sure the whole association works. Whether whichever department you're from, division you're from, wherever you're from, these four are crucial to making sure we function as an association. The lack of any of these four bodies or any of them not being able to work together is detrimental, and it will definitely cause issues like we can't work together. Then from there we have the school assemblies. Now these are crucial to make sure your voice is heard for your education. Like what Justin has mentioned earlier as well, although we can't directly remove lecturers and all that, but we can advocate your voice to make sure that you are heard and make sure you get the student experience that you want. From there as well, we have the functioning body, whose general purpose is to document and to journal everything, and they are completely apart from MUSA, whereby we do give them guidelines to abide by in terms of administrative, but in terms of the work they put out is completely on them. We do not govern how they do their stuff; they do it on their own. The only thing is maybe like EMS submissions and stuff like that. So yeah, other than that, of course, we have the divisions consisting of activities who are running big events, publicity who are in charge of anything Monash, anything MUSA on the social media, CNS welfare who are in charge of not only clubs of societies and welfare in charge of your welfare, and last but not least, MOIS. So now let's get into a bit more detail on this position, starting with the president. So as you all can see here, the MUSA president is the official spokesperson of MUSA and the Students Association and any student member of Monash actually. So when it comes to any issues and all that, they are the ones who are in charge to make sure that everything runs smoothly, day-to-day operations, to big initiatives, to making sure everything runs smoothly. The president's key role is making sure that all of these functions come together and maintaining order in the association, right? So that is the key role of the president. And not only that, they also overview the volunteer program, which is directly under the president's department, and also making sure that finance is in order, with the head of finance or finance directors as well. So, in short, the president maintains order throughout the association. If there's any fires to be put out, the president is there, and they are the liaison as well between the university and the students. So, if there's any issues or anything, usually everybody knows who to find, which is one singular person. So, very crucial position as well. From there, you have the vice presidents, the direct or right hand man or right hand woman of the president. So, their job has anything to do if the president is unavailable, they come in to take charge as well. So they are involved in every single executive decisions, as well as the main thing is in charge of anything to do with education and academics, where they are part of the education affairs committee, where they take care of the school assembly as well. And also they also assist with any other administrative processes and external engagement within MUSA as well. So now the next one, which we'll go into, is the general secretary. Yes. So as you can see here, this entire elections, whatever you're going to see for the rest of the semester in terms of elections, the by-elections that happen at the beginning of the year, all done by the Gen Sec. And they are making sure that the flow or the education, the election regulations are maintained, as well as they are making sure that the constitution of this association is maintained. So their job is also making sure that MUSA maintains proper order in terms of records and meeting minutes. And a lot of people might think, oh, secretary just write meeting minutes. Well, that's not only the case as well. Without a general secretary, there's a lot of havoc that can go on because they are there to also make sure that we maintain by the constitution, a very important document that basically governs how MUSA runs and how we act as office bearers as well. So anything to do with any issues as well, they are the first to step in as well. And last but not least is the head of finance. This is for the Exco committee. So the heads of finance, as in the name, they are in charge directly in terms of the finances for MUSA. All the departments need to get their money from somewhere. They are there to make sure we maintain strictly to the budget allocated, as well as making sure fair and true accountings are done throughout the association. And also to mainly make sure that nobody overspends or underspends and how we can better utilize our funds to make sure a better student experience. Because everybody can use money, but not everybody is using them fairly. So their jobs is also to maintain that order. So this is the executive committee. Now we will proceed on to the next, which is the divisions. So, right, thanks, Asin. So the first one is the heads of activities. Before I proceed as well, just a heads up as well. If you see the bracket and the number, that's the number of office bearer per position. So if let's say two, that means there are two activities head, two welfare head, and so on and so forth. So for the activities head, their job is to improve student experience within the university, and it ranges from all kinds of events. For those who are unaware, tonight there's also an event being held by the by MVP, which is a subdivision under activities as well. So their job is to make sure that you have an enjoyable student experience. Notable events include Monash Run, which happened last weekend, as well as last semester Water Bomb and Monash Ball, which happens at the end of the year. But they're not limited to that. They can expand beyond, and they're always here to make sure that you have an enjoyable student engagement experience. The next is welfare. Now, this is very important as well. They are responsible for the welfare of the students and maintenance of both the offices and the lounge. The entire sports center, the office and the lounge belongs to the welfare to make sure that everything is maintained and everything is in order for student experience as well. Not only that, they also have a department they have departments which are in charge of the safety and well-being of women, the LGBTQIA communities, and other minority groups on campus. And they are there to spearhead events seeking to get rid of any issues and discrimination within the campus as well. Apologies for my voice, I'm a bit sick at the moment. And other than that, also they're there to make sure to point out any issues when it comes to student discrimination and student harassments that are happening on campus, voicing it out to the university to make sure that things are taken care in order, and mainly to also be a listening ear to what issues are happening within the campus as well. Or if let's say a student has any complaints or anything that is affecting them, that's where the heads of welfare step in. Last but not least as well, they are there to make sure the themes of sustainability, climate awareness, and social inequalities are maintained within MUSA and are always being progressed within the association as well. So their job, which is quite a lot, but their job is to making sure you are well taken care of. If you have any issues, you feel unsafe, they are there for you. So now we'll proceed to the next one, which is the heads of clubs or societies. So now this is a very big division. If you are unaware, Monash has a lot of clubs and societies. I believe 60 or plus. I don't remember the number from the top of my head. but there are two people in charge overall of CNS. And this does not only stop at the clubs, but also Monash Cup, which just started last weekend and are happening throughout the semester as well. So they are making sure that the entire club and society ecosystem within Monash is maintained in order. So, like how I'm in charge of the entirety of MUSA, they're in charge of the entirety of the clubs, making sure all their needs are met, all the issues are solved, and whatever finances that the clubs require are in order as well. They're also there to make sure that all the events are approved through the EMS system, making sure they're safe, and also approving and maintaining order within the clubs as well. Because sometimes we have new clubs, sometimes we have clubs with improper management, unfortunately. So they are there to make sure that everything is maintained in order as well. And of course, once again, Monash Cup, they are one of the biggest events. This is the 10th year anniversary as well, and many years more to come. Next is publicity. They are in charge of everything to do with the MUSA, the official page, social media, and making sure that publications within the university is in order. Not the university, the association. So one of the key things is also the promotion for the annual elections. If you had caught an eye, I mean, if you are looking at this, you definitely would have noticed it. They are there to make sure that this is publicized accordingly, as well as making sure everything is well documented to the students as well, and also maintaining our official MUSA websites as well. So all of this comes in play to make sure that student gets the information that they require at appropriate timing as well. Then the next thing is also to be responsible for the production of material. So they are in charge of making sure that the documentations, the posts that go out, the stock, everything that goes public is in order to make sure there's no issues or no problems that are being promoted as well, or no injustice being done within the student community. And also they're in charge of the media affairs committee, which where discussions on issues like this come about, and where we are making sure that we do everything that we can to make sure proper publications are in order. And last but not least, merchandise. All of MUSA's key merchandise, some of you all would have seen it last semester. Those who are new, you'll be seeing them really, really soon. They are completely in charge of all of them. So now the next one, and I think there's more to publicity actually. Yes. So other than that, like what I mentioned earlier, they're making sure that proper information and accuracy is maintained for anything to do with policies, for changes in them. And also they maintain all publicity when it comes to the divisions for CNS, the volunteer program, MUP, movies, and others to make sure that they follow the proper structure and approving as well. And to make sure that all filming done on campus is approved as well, because we don't want those who are filming improper stuff to happen on campus and all that, or to be filming from outside or anything. So basically, to make sure all publication within campus is done. All right, so the next one. Do I do apologize if I start to get a bit raspy? There's a lot to cover. So the next one is the editors. Now, as I mentioned earlier, they are there to oversee the official student publication of MUSA. So those who are aware, MONGA stands for the Monash Gazette. So other than that, they play a very crucial role in providing official student publication and to make sure that they represent the voice for the student body and Monash as well. So some of their key roles include content creation and management. So if you have followed them before, you would have seen all the posts they have done, all the event coverage that they have done for the events that go on campus. So all them as well, they are there to make sure high editorial standards, including accuracy, fairness, and clarity. From there is also publication management, where they have their own production schedule with the coordination between the contributors, writers, photographers, to make sure everything is done in a proper and aesthetic manner as well. Yeah. So the communication and coordination is something that they do as well, where they liaise directly with the publicity department and any external entities as well to gather relevant information to promote student engagement and also to facilitate communication between the editorial teams in the MUSA department. Lastly is distribution and outreach, where they develop strategies to maximize and increase the reach and impact of the publication, organizing proper distribution channels, and also promoting publication. And not only that, they also do cover events where they are there to make sure that everything is promoted properly and fairly. So some of the key events or key initiatives we have seen recently is including the reports on the MSc. I believe there are a few already out now. So those are to also report fairly to the student body of what exactly is happening and to make sure that everything is covered properly. Now, the next one is MUIS, which is the International Student Service. Now, keep in mind, these are only restricted to international students. So international students being non-Malaysian students only. Alright, so what do they do? So the MUIS department basically is there to handle the welfare and engagement of the international students. So basically, they are their own mini version of MUSA, where they have a lot of the country representatives coming in order, creating engagement events within their communities, and coming together for big events such as One World and Monash Cultural Night, which is coming up really soon. Now, a few things that the heads of MOIs do now. This is a very big role as well because they are there to maintain the day-to-day management of the department and the official spokesperson of MOIS and the international students. When it comes to any information that is needed from the universities to understand or to gauge how is the welfare of international students, that's where our two wonderful heads of MOIS come in and to make sure that everything is in order. Or if there's any issue that needs to be raised, they do their due diligence to make sure it's raised. From there is the MUIS secretary. Now, their job is similar to the GenSec in terms of maintaining order within MUIS itself, whereby they are there to make sure all the records of meetings, financials, and all the letters are well documented, prepare the proper agenda, and as well as to maintain, to provide warning letters on behalf of MUIS, and to make sure everybody is running properly. So their job is also similar to what the GenSec does, but just specifically for MUIS as well, where everything is in order. But just to note, they don't run general elections. So yeah. Now, the next one, the MOIS treasurers, similar to the finance directors, they are there to make sure that all transactions and all procedures are done properly with the approved budget proposals to make sure all the country representatives maintain order in terms of how they are spending and how they're using it for their events, and to prepare financial statements and budget reports as well so that we are aware on how they're doing it, and also organization of the AGM. Nextly is MOIS Media. So they are in charge directly for the publication of MOIS documents to appropriate media pages and the publication of the international student magazine. They're also making sure to manage all marketing related activities and aspects, managing the publication of MOIS documentation to appropriate media pages as well. And last but not least, to make sure all marketing related activities are done in order. Now the next ones are MUIS engagement. Now MUIS engagement is there to plan MUIS's events. They're like their own activities department, where it is important as well, not only just for engagement, but also policy formulation, liaison, or initiatives related to the welfare of international students. So it's not just to make sure they're having fun, but to make sure the necessary issues or everything is dealt accordingly to make sure that there's information being spread. And an example of an event that actually Moise is hosting is happening next week, which is called Monash Globe. Moise Globe, I may be mistaken, but you guys can follow their social media to find out. So these are the kinds of events they do to make sure that the international students are engaged. And last but not least is the country representatives officer. As mentioned earlier, there are a bunch of country representatives within MOIS who are in charge of communicating and as well as reaching out and engaging with their respective communities. So you have from many different countries, you have China, Sri Lanka, many others, and their job is to serve as a liaison as well between MOIS and the country representatives to ensure proper management and operations of their events and initiatives as well. So that's a wrap up for MOIS. And lastly, I'll be going into the school representatives. The last seven few are very crucial to make sure academic and education related matters are brought up accordingly. Keep in mind on a few things is firstly, each school can have only one male and one female representatives. And number two, you can only represent your own school. You can't be from School of Engineering and representing School of Pharmacy. Doesn't work that way. Now, their job is to represent the student population of the school in MUSA-related matters to ensure the welfare of the students is dealt accordingly in aspects to their school. So this again comes back to what Justin has mentioned earlier. Although we do not have the direct power to immediately dismiss lecturers because again we are students, but we do have a voice when it comes to mentioning if there's an unjust in your academics, if there is an unjust in how you deal with your issues and all that, or even when there's an EPC hearing where you have an issue within your integrity of education, some might call it as well. They are there to help you in every way possible. And again, for this specific role, we do highly recommend you to run in pairs. And this goes to the same for all the other roles mentioned as well. For those with two, for those with three, whatever the numbers may be, we highly encourage you guys to run together. So it's easier also. But for the sake of the schools especially, because sometimes it's hard to find a second rep once you're already in. This is based on experience for many. So of course, the seven schools are comprised of the seven schools. You have School of Arts, School of Medicine, School of IT, School of Pharmacy, Engineering, Science, and Business. So that is the entirety of all the positions being contested. Now, if you have any further questions on the roles and all that, you can of course reach out to the respective departments and divisions for proper day-to-day. And other than that, that would be all for myself. I'll be passing it back to you, Justin. So thank you guys so much for your time.
All right. Thank you, Sean, for walking us through the positions. Okay, so now we're gonna sort of go into the main part of why we're having today's session. So right now I've broken it down into two parts to make it easier for you to understand right from the go. So first is candidate eligibility. So first of all, you need to be a full-time student in Monash University, Malaysia for the entirety of your tenure. And next also is there's actually a minimum requirement for your WAM score, which is 60%, which is at least a credit. And to reiterate, as Sean mentioned just now, for the MUIS part, international students are only allowed to run for MUIS positions. And same for school representatives. You're only allowed to run for that school if you are from that school. So I think it can be a bit confusing at times, especially if you're new to this. So what I prepared here is if you're still deciding should you run for MUSA, is a quick decision guide. So in terms of eligibility, first thing you can check off is your eligibility. So you can refer to this too. And if you're completely new to this also, I recommend you take a picture of this, a screenshot of this, so that you'll be able to refer to it later on, especially when you're filling up the nomination form. And then the next part is actually you need to check if your position. So for example, MUIS positions, you must be an international student. And for school reps, you must be from that respective school. And do note also the male and female, one male and one female for each school rep. And then another thing that you need to check also is do you have the support? So I'll cover more about this later when we go through the nomination guide. But first, I'm just going to cover roughly about it. So one person needs to nominate you, and that person can't be an office bearer. And then you need another person to actually second that nomination. That person also cannot be an office bearer. And for the fourth step, if you're thinking whether I can handle the timeline and all those things, there's a detailed guide, but do take note of key dates as I've showed just now with the timeline chart. The mandatory training is on the 13th of September, so do mark the dates early if you are planning to run. So I think now will be a good time to sort of go into the guide. So let me just stop sharing this one and let me pull up the guide. Okay, so sorry, let me reshare. All right, so as you can see here, later on we'll be sharing this document also. What we have here is sort of the nomination process guide and to help you with the entire application process to know what documents to get and sort of also how to approach it, who you must meet, things like that. So first of all, as we mentioned earlier, eligibility is clearly written here. Sorry. And next thing you would see here is actually the link here is already linked to the nomination form. So you'll be able to access the nomination form here. And so for this part, you'll be actually need to fill up the nomination form completely. And here are some of the things that you require actually for your nomination form. So first of all is your WES and also your WAM records. So as you can see here okay, so you'll be required to prepare screenshots in either PNG or JPEG for your web enrollment system. And also you require actually 3 web enrollment systems. So I'll recap this a bit later, but I'll quickly go through this first. So you'll be required to prepare 3 WES and your own WAM. So as you can see here, we provided also the screenshot of the sample screenshots of sort of what you need to include in your nomination form. And this one is also quite important for candidates. You need to actually prepare a summary of your social media accounts. So we recommend to put it in a list in a Google Docs of all the social media accounts where you have a Monasian as your audience. And for those office bearers that are actually planning to rerun, we also need a record of maybe any WhatsApp group, Telegram groups, or any other maybe communication channels like Discord that you have used to carry out your duties on top of the social media accounts. And then this one is quite important for the passport size photo. Do take note that when you prepare your passport size photo, try to keep the format either a PNG or a JPEG. And as you can see here, number one, a plain white background and a natural expression. And also make sure there's no distracting shadow. And like most passport photos, try to have your full face in the thing with front facing and be able to see the entirety of your face. So the photo also must be from top hair to bottom of the chin. So none, as to reiterate again, none of your face should be covered. And then try to center your head within the frame. So I think this one is quite standard passport size, passport type photo. And then this one is also really important. You are actually required to meet with your 2025 office bearers. So this is to discuss the position and the responsibilities for you to better understand the potential position that you'll be running for. And as part of this, also you need to submit a screenshot of either the Zoom session, or if you meet them physically, you are required to take a photo together as the proof that you have met your 2025 office bearers. And this one, I'll leave it for you to read later on, especially the bottom part here. But just to cover, if your nomination is accepted, then I will be emailing you the acceptance form that you will have to fill up and email back to me by a certain time. And also just to reiterate again, the mandatory uh, candidate briefing and MUSA training will take place on the 13th of September from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So this one will take place on campus, and it's mandatory for everyone to sort of attend. So if your nomination is rejected, then I will also be notifying you. And also, don't worry, but we will state the reason for the rejection. And if really you feel that you're not happy with the rejection, a contact telephone number will also be given on the nomination form. So then you can contact me and appeal your case. So those are some things to take note for the nomination process. Okay, let me switch back the screen. All right, so just to summarize everything again, uh, this is the summary actually. So if you are a bit lost still on the nomination, I hope this helps you a bit. So when it comes to submission of your nomination form, you're required, the first row is all the details that you require. So you require someone who is not a current office bearer, your nominator. These are the details you require for them and the respective WES for the nominator, the seconder, and yours as well. And then when it comes to the rules for who can be your nominator or seconder, that's the middle part. And so obviously it can't be yourself, and it also can't be an office bearer. And just to clarify again, your nominator and seconder must not be the same person. So they must be two different person. And most importantly, they must be also qualified to vote. So they are Monash students that are qualified to vote. So and then the bottom two, just to reiterate again, for MUI's positions and school representatives, you must be nominated and seconded by international students. And then for school representatives, you must be nominated and seconded by students who are from your same school. So these are key things to take note when filling in your nomination form. And this is sort of a recommendation from us, but not mandatory, is that when you, for example, I think the vice presidents or finance director, even the schools, when you are running with the positions with the bracket and two, we encourage you to sort of fill in the thing together, include your partner details. And but one thing to note is that even though you are running together, both of you are required to fill in the form separately and also send it to us separately. So I think now that I've run through the forms with you, I'll just leave this here for a while so that you all can scan it. So you should be, so what's inside here is the entire folder that I showed earlier, and you should be able to access and view all the documents. So you are supposed to download the documents and edit it from there. You won't be able to edit the document directly as the access is not given to you. So all the documents that you're given you are required to download it and then edit it from your end before sending it back to us. So later on, we'll share again the email that you are required to send it to. So I'll give you all a while more just to scan this Google Drives to be able to access all the important documents related to the nomination stage. All right, so I think if there's anyone who still requires it later, we can bring it up in the Q&A and we can switch back the slide. So in terms of communication channels for this upcoming elections process, for candidates, here is the candidate WhatsApp group where further updates regarding the MUSA general election will be shared. And for those of you who may not be interested in running but want to follow the elections, there's actually going to be a debate on the 6th to 10th of October, and we'll be actually live streaming it on the MUSA YouTube channel. So you can save the date, and if you don't know that MUSA has a YouTube channel, then here's the sort of you can go subscribe to it and check out the upcoming debates. So I'll leave this here for a bit, or you can take a picture first so that you'll be able to just look back at the QR codes later on. So I give you all a while more. Okay, so if there is, I think that's all from our side. So if Sean has anything, I think you can chip in. But now we would like to open more for Q&A. So if there's any questions regarding, I think, the nomination stage or anything else regarding the elections process, we'd love to take the questions now. Is there a way to check the YouTube one? Because I can't see the YouTube questions.
Please mention there's no questions. Or you can give it a bit now.
Sorry?
Hello? Okay, there's no questions from the YouTube.
Okay, so if there's no questions, I think we'll give it maybe a while more while I show the further communication. So just to reiterate again, if you have any questions that maybe you don't want to ask here but want to clarify later on, you can always contact me with my number. Or if it's more formal or later on in the elections process, is that if there's anything that you need, can always email it to the email here. So we encourage you to at least take a picture of this slide so you'll be able to revisit it later on should you need to contact us about anything urgent. Okay, I'll just show the Google Drive a bit more while waiting for questions. So if there's really no more questions, I think, Sean, can we end it earlier?
Yeah, I believe that should be all. Bliss, do you want to add on anything as well?
Nope, all good from me. I think we can end since there's no questions.
All right, thank you for joining, everyone. And wish you all the best in your application for the nomination stages.
Okay, I will end in 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Nice.
Great